Hi guys, Eggy here, welcome back to another video. Today's video is a video suggestion from Candlecat, who wanted to know who my favourite characters were. You too can give me video suggestions / videos that you want me to film in my Discord, which I have linked in the description box. So make sure you join so you can get involved, so you can see and recommend videos that you want to watch and videos that I'm happy to film for you guys. So yeah, link in the description box for the Discord, so make sure you join. But yeah, I couldn't decide on just a few favourite characters, so we have 20 to go through. And this video is a little late based on when Candlecat suggested it, just purely because I thought I'd be smart and draw the characters. And then I realised how long it was taking me, so yeah. But the video is here now, so let's start off with the first one. I do apologise, Procreate is a bit slow to load, but this is the first one, and it's the Breakfast Princess from Adventure Time. She is my favourite princess from Adventure Time, which is why I drew her, but I just like her outfit. I would want to cosplay her one day. It has been in my mind for a while, but it just seems like a complicated one, just because like the little toast top would have to be rigid, and the only way I can think to do that is out of cardboard. I don't want to spend a few hours, walk around a busy and hot convention centre in cardboard. So that and the shoes would be a bit complicated, but I'm not too fussed on the shoes because I can just wear my trainers and then that's fine with me. But it's just mostly the top. But yeah, oh, I didn't mean to do that. But yeah, this is the Breakfast Princess from Adventure Time. One of my favourite characters from Adventure Time, even though I have not watched Adventure Time since I was a child because I can't find where to watch it now. So I do just sometimes sit on YouTube and I just watch clips of the show that I can find. But yeah, the first one, the Breakfast Princess from Adventure Time. Next up we have Kuro, the cat from Blue Exorcist, because it's a cat and it's me. But he grows big, how I said in one of my other videos that Yukio from Masterful Cat is Suppressed Again Today grows big. He also grows big during fights and stuff. Now, Blue Exorcist isn't one that I thought I'd get into, but then I read the manga and I was like, this is interesting. Read a few more of the manga. I was like, yeah, okay, this is getting good now. I read a few more of the manga. I think I read up to volume 10, and that's when I was like, yeah, I need the rest now. So it took me a while, but now I've got from 1 to 30, and 31 comes out in August. I've only read 1 to 10 because I was waiting for like a next big chunk to get into, and I still haven't read it because I've just been so busy lately. I haven't had time to sit down and read, but I am hoping after May I should have a little more downtime and not be as busy, so I should be able to read some more. But yeah, I drew these little flowers and I wasn't sure. I didn't like them just being plain, so I was trying to do like the middle bit of the flowers, and I ended up just doing like these 3 lines just because I thought it looked better than just being the plain flowers. But yeah, he is a happy kitty. And then we have Chikawa from Laid Back Camp, who is a nice little doggy. The nose did go a little weird because it's not exactly a rectangle, but I didn't want to keep adding to it and just hating it more, so I ended up just leaving it. But Chikawa is one of my favourites from Laid Back Camp because he's a little doggy and he doesn't really like camping because it's cold, which, you know, it's the same as most of us. So he just hides in the tent or he's just wrapped up in the blanket, which is, you know, a whole mood. So that's why he's one of my favourite characters. That and the others was just really hard to draw because I do like Laid Back Camp. It is one of my favourite series, both anime and the manga. It's just the other characters were a little hard to do, and the reference photos that I kept trying to look for, they were really blurry, so I couldn't really make out the finer details. So I just gave up and decided to stick with Chikawa because it was easier for me. And it still ended up taking me nearly an hour to draw him, but that's fine. But yeah, this is Chikawa in his little blanket. Next up, we have got the little mini Totoros from My Neighbor Totoro. I decided to leave it as just a plain sketch because I did start to colour it in, but then I didn't like the way it was coloured in, so I've just left it as a plain sketch. And they are on the same level as my love for the Soot Sprites because, as we all know, I have a love for small creatures. So if any films or series has got like small creatures, I do tend to like them more than, say, the main characters, but you know, who wouldn't? So we got these from My Neighbor Totoro. And next up we have got The Mummy from How to Train a Mummy, which is a series I watched when I first started getting into anime. So it is a nice little slice of life one where the mummy tries to help out around the house, but where he is only small, he can't really help out, so he gets sad. But, you know, his owner loves him for him, which is fine, you know. But yeah, I like him because he's small and cute, which is, you know, my reasoning for like half of these characters. But the next one is Gudetama because obviously he's my favourite Sanrio character, so I had to draw him, and it took me ages to get the lines as thick as that because you can change like the size of your brush here, but then it was like either too big or not big enough, so I had to just like draw around it and hope it worked, which, as you can tell with the E, it's not quite round enough. But then if I kept trying to round it, end up being too round, so it is just left as it is. But yeah, I had to draw Gudetama because he is my favourite Sanrio character, and you know, I am a lazy little egg like he is, which is, you know, part of the reason why I like him. But yeah, he's my favourite Sanrio character, so naturally I had to draw him. Next up we have got some Sumiko Garashi characters. So we have got Sakage, which is my favourite one, and his dream about him and his mum. We've got the Ebi Ferrari, which has the little love hearts around it. And then we have the real Takage. Then we have Zazu. Then we have the Setsumori. I have written the Japanese underneath it, which was hard because I was trying to do it in the right stroke order as well, but then that wasn't really working. So, and then we have Tapioca, and I like these little guys because they remind me of Gudetama because they just look really small and cute. Then we have Neko, which is a cat. Then we have Tonkatsu. And we have Shirokuma, which is just white bear, so I'm guessing he's a polar bear. Some of these I'm not really too sure on what they are because the Japanese names are different to the English names, but this is Penguin, who might be a penguin, who might not be a penguin. Then this is Furoshiki, which he looks like a bento bag wrap. Then we have Kineko, which is a mushroom. But yeah, these are the first set of the Tsuko Guramashi characters that I drew. And then these are the second set that I drew. So we have this little macaroon character, Mamasuta. We have Eiji Farah, which was an easy one to draw because it's only the basic outline and 2 colours. Then we have Magara, who is a mole. Then we have Sparrow. Not my friend Sparrow, but you know, it could be. Maybe that's really where Sparrow is from. We need to find out. Then we have Hokori. Then we have Takage's mum. Then we have the real penguin. And then a little mountain. Then we have a breadstick. A owl. A little ghost dude. And then black tapioca. So next up, I clicked her out, are the 7 brothers from Obey Me. I was trying to fit them all in a circle, but then it wasn't going, so I made Lucifer go in the middle because he's the oldest, and it just looks weird, but you know. So we got Lucifer, the eldest. We have got Mammon, the second eldest. His eye is over his hair, but I couldn't fit it because I did so many layers for this drawing. I couldn't figure out what one to move it to, so I just left it. Then we have Leviathan, the third child, and I've just missed that bit there. Or there you go. Leviathan the third, who is an otaku, and he just sits in his room playing video games pretty much 90% of the time. Lucifer is the avatar of pride. Mammon is the avatar of greed. Levi is the avatar of envy. Then you have Satan, who is the avatar of wrath. Then you have Asmodeus, who's the avatar of lust. Then you have Beelzebub, who's the avatar of gluttony. Then you have Belphegor, who's the avatar of sloth. So the 7 brothers are based on the 7 sins. They did have a sister, Lilith, who died when they fell from the celestial realm because she got in trouble. Basically, the celestial war was caused because Lilith fell in love with a human and then tried to alter their lifespan, which is, you know, against the rules. So they ended up with a war, and then Lucifer felt bad that his brothers followed him because he didn't mean for them all to get into trouble. And it took them a long time to realise that, you know, they would follow him and like he didn't force them to. And when they fell, Satan was born out of Lucifer's body, which technically makes him his dad. But if you compare Satan to Lucifer, Satan gets upset, which, you know, understandable because he's the opposite of Lucifer, if that makes sense, which is why he's got blonde hair and Lucifer has black hair, and Satan likes cats, Lucifer's more of a dog person, you know, little things like that. But yeah, I like all 7 of the brothers and the side characters, but I didn't draw all of the side characters because that would have taken me a while because there are a few. And yeah, so they're the 7 brothers. They're in order of their powers, not based on the order of their age, because they're not technically related. But in the celestial realm, Lucifer looked after Mammon first because Mammon was a troublemaker even back then. So he was like given to Lucifer, so Lucifer would keep an eye on him and, you know, hopefully be a good role model, which ended up not being right. But yeah, and then they end up getting all of the rest of them. And then Bill and Belphie say that they're twins because they're born on the same birthday. And then they've got, you know, the same eye colour as well. So, you know, so Satan is the middle child, but he should be the youngest because, you know, he was the last one born. And then in his demon form, he has like a black feather boa necklace, which I think is from Lucifer's wings, because back in the celestial realm, Lucifer had 12 wings, and now that he's fallen, he's only got 6. So it makes sense that the boa is from some of Lucifer's wings, but you know. And then we have just got Bill on his own because he is my favourite. But Drink, she keeps calling him Ichigo. You know, the dude from Bleach. She keeps, every time I mention Bill, without foul, she calls him Ichigo. You know, because he's ginger. But without foul, every time I bring up Bill, whether it's like a gif I send, a sticker, or whatever, she always calls him Ichigo, and now the rest of my friends have started to do it as well. And Drink has just turned them to the dark side, because he is not Ichigo, he is Bill. But yeah, I drew him eating a burger because it's one of like the chibi memory cards from the game, is him sitting and eating a burger. The body didn't turn out right, so I just did a white outline so he kind of looks like a sticker. But human world cheeseburgers are his favourite food, so I drew him eating a cheeseburger. He likes cheeseburgers. In the anime, because there's like 5-minute anime episodes, it's like one of the episodes is him making up this whole story about this cheeseburger because he's so hungry, but then he doesn't want to go on a rampage when he's hungry, because obviously where he's the avatar of gluttony, he needs to eat a lot. And then Lucifer gets mad with him because when he goes on a rampage, he destroys things which Lucifer has to pay for. And between him destroying things, Satan destroying things because of his wrath, and then Mammon destroying things when he doesn't pay people back because of his greed, and then when Leviathan summons Lotan, the sea serpent, to destroy things because he gets angry, Lucifer ends up paying for a lot of damages. So Bill's come up with a way to stop himself from feeling that hungry, so he makes up this whole story about this burger, and then they're on like this desert island, and then he's trying not to eat the burger even though he's so hungry, and it turns out that the burger was going to eat him. But yeah, it was a really weird episode, but it was funny. But yeah, Bill is my favourite Obey character. So yeah, I like him. Yeah. And then next from Obey we have Luke, who is one of the side characters, and then everyone calls him a chihuahua. Well, Lucifer started calling him a chihuahua because he's small and yappy, basically, because he's protective of Simeon, who also came from the Celestial Realm as an exchange student to the Devildom. And then Simeon is basically Luke's dad, pretty much. In all of the chats you get in the game, Solomon mentions about how Simeon talks about Luke like he's a dating father, and then Simeon doesn't question it, like he doesn't deny it. And then Lucifer mentions, you know, how Luke's like his child, and again he doesn't question it. And then when the MC sends a chat about staying over, Simeon makes a comment about how they're like a family, which, you know, with Luke being the child and stuff. So he is a baby, basically. So I drew a little chihuahua wanting to eat his cake because Luke likes to bake things. But yeah, this is Luke, and he's from the Celestial Realm. He didn't like the demons at first because Michael talks about the 7 brothers a lot and how Lucifer was like this big amazing person, and then Luke gets to the Devildom, realizes Lucifer is nothing like that because it has been thousands of years since Lucifer was last in a celestial realm with his brothers. So naturally he's changed and adapted to the Devildom and being Diablo's right hand man. So lots of things have changed, and it took Luke a while to realize that he's not going to be the same angel as Michael was like bragging about. But now, later on in the game, he doesn't really mind much about them being demons and being scary. So, which is nice to see. And then next up we have got Bepo from One Piece. Now I will admit, I haven't gone up to the part with him in, and I haven't seen Film Red, which is where this scene is from, but I do like Bepo from like clips and stuff that I've watched from the anime. I've only read like the first box set, so I'm on to the second box set of like the manga. So I think that's volume 26. I could be wrong because I haven't read it in a while, but that's only as far as I've gone up to. So I haven't met Beppo yet, and a lot of people have told me it's quite a while until I do meet him, but he is one of my favourite One Piece characters, so yeah. I don't really have much to say about him because, you know, I haven't met him yet. And then next up we have got Kero from Cardcaptor Sakura, which he's just a small little guy, you know. He's the guardian of the cards, and then when he gets his powers he ends up in like this big lion form, which is cool, but I prefer him when he's small like this because he's cuter, and as I said, I like cute little creatures and things. So that's from Cardcaptor Sakura. And then I also drew he's like Nemesis type thing, Spinal. I can't remember his name now. I forgot to write his name, and it's been so long since I watched Cardcaptor Sakura, so I could be wrong. Sazel will probably correct me in the comments because she loves Cardcaptor Sakura. But yeah, I also drew him because, again, he's just a little guy. And he can't eat sweets because then he goes on a rampage and just wants to eat all of the sweet treat things. And then, yeah, which Kero found out the hard way because he shoved a cake in his mouth. And then it ended up being a disaster. But yeah, they're both from Cardcaptor Sakura. And then next up we have Nanami, because I like Nanami. But it has to be zoomed in like this because I didn't realise where I'd been zooming in drawing him. I cut off the top of his head, and well, I kept trying to add it to like fit this gap that I have, but then it wasn't working, so it has to stay like this so you can't see the gap because otherwise it looks weird. But I did drop Jujutsu Kaisen. I dropped the manga and then I watched the anime, and I didn't make it to season 2, which, based on what people have told me happens to Nanami, it's a good thing I didn't watch it and didn't finish reading it. It just confused me. I'm not really big into shonen, so I wasn't really that interested in it from the start. So I was surprised I got as far as I did. I think I got like 10 volumes in before I dropped it. And with the manga, I finished the first season and I was like, yeah, I've been bored of this for a while. I just wanted to finish the season. So after that first season, I stopped watching it because I just did not like it. But Nanami was one of my favourite characters, so I had to draw him. Next up we have Mao Mao and Jinshi from Apothecary Diaries, because I love Apothecary Diaries, and this drawing just pretty much sums up their relationship. Jinshi's like, oh, Mao Mao, you're interesting, let me go follow you around, and Mao Mao's like, you're irritating, leave me alone. Which, you know, I think I captured perfectly in this drawing. But it turns out, even in chibi form, I can't draw hands, so the hands do look a little weird, especially Jinshi's hand here, because I forgot to draw the line here because his hand is underneath his face, so I couldn't quite do it, and every time I drew the line here to connect the finger, you couldn't really see it that well, so I decided to leave it. But yeah, they are my favourite characters from Apothecary Diaries. But I do like Jinshi's guard as well. I can't for the life of me remember his name, because as I said, it has been a while since I've read my manga. But I do like the guard as well. I like pretty much all of the characters in Apothecary Diaries because I really enjoy the series. And in a lot of manga and anime that I've watched, I don't tend to enjoy all of the characters because some of them I feel are a bit 2D, which I get, you know, it's because it's a manga, so they're obviously going to be 2D. But with Beelzebub and in the new Abemi game that they created to just farm money, what? Who said that? They've kind of not fleshed out his character as much, and they've just kind of basically made it so he's just a hungry demon, which is not true. He's got more character than that, because he loves his family, he protects his family. He was the protector of the Celestial Realm gates, and then he heard a banshee cry, and then he thought it was his fault that Lilith died because he heard the banshee cry and then didn't tell anyone, so that guilt was eating him up inside. And then Lucifer thought that the reason that they were all upset was because he dragged them with them into the fight. But in the new game, Bill's not really as fleshed out. But yeah, in some series and stuff, I don't really like all of the characters, but in Apothecary Diaries, I do like all of the characters. Some I like more than others, but I still do enjoy all of the characters, which is a thing I'm not used to. Laid Back Camp and Obey Me are the only other two series, I think, that I can remember that I like all of the characters, so it's not really a thing that I'm used to. But yeah, I really love Apothecary Diaries. It's a really good series. Next up we have Tanaka from Black Butler, and I do like Tanaka because most of the time he's in this small form, which, you know, made it easier for me to draw. But he's just like an old dude who's like a tall old dude basically, and he's like the butler. And so yeah, in most of the scenes and stuff, he's just this small chibi person, which is easier for me to draw rather than doing his actual form. And he's not in his actual form a lot of the time, so it's funny when you do see him in his actual form. But this one took me a while to draw because I was trying to do the highlights, and I was like, I have to do the highlights first, because where he's got the black jacket on, it was like really difficult for me to do it and then do the highlights over it. So I decided to scrap that, do the highlights first, and then colour it in, because I couldn't figure out the layer scenario again. Because I've been drawing on Procreate for like a year, maybe 2 years now, and I'm still confused when it comes to layer positioning of which layer goes first, which layer goes underneath it, especially when I'm colouring and stuff. So I'm still kind of getting used to it, even though I've had it for a while. So it was a little difficult, especially with like his hair as well, and like his little moustache. But yeah, Tanaka is one of my favourite characters. He's just funny and down to earth-ish compared to like the other characters at least. So yeah, Tanaka from Black Butler. And then I also drew The Undertaker from Black Butler because I like The Undertaker from Black Butler, because surprise surprise, he's long hair and he's a pretty boy, so makes sense, I'd like him. But I think there's also why Candlecat likes him, so we kind of have to fight each other for The Undertaker. But yeah, I drew him and he's funny. I do like him. And then I drew Grimm from Twisted Wonderland because he's a chimera, but he basically is just a big cat. And I was trying to draw his body as well, but then where he's so small, because he's basically in a chibi form all the way through until book 6, I think, and then he's in like bigger form. But yeah, he's a little fire cat basically. So he's cute, and he's a cat, and he's a furry cat. And in the manga, he looks even more furry and fluffy. And the anime is coming out soon, so I've watched the anime trailer like at least a dozen times, and he looks even more fluffy in the anime trailer too. So I'm really looking forward to when the anime comes out, which should be October. So fingers crossed for that, because they have said for like the past 3 years that there was going to be an anime coming out, and they've only just started to tease it more. So I'm hoping that it all goes well properly this time, and not, you know, just be like, yeah, the anime's coming out, and it's like, well, is it, isn't it? So I drew Leona from Twisted Wonderland. He's a lion, and he's got long hair, and he's a pretty boy. So that's like 3 things right there. But yeah, this one was hard to do because of like his trousers and stuff. I couldn't get the lines to be even, and like his shoes and his towel. But yeah, this is him in his dorm school uniform, which he doesn't wear properly because, you know, he's a lazy little lion. So he's based off of Scar from The Lion King, which, you know, you can tell based on his scar because the Twisted Wonderland school, the dorms are based on like the villains of that film. So in Heartstable, which is like the first arc of the story, both in the manga and in the game, Riddle is the queen, like, inherent thing. Like, he inherits her traits and stuff, and he's like, off with your head is like his special move, special power type thing. So, yeah. And then Leona is based off of Scar, and he is a lion hybrid type. So most of the students, but not all of them from the Savannah Claw dorm, which is what Leona's in, are animal hybrids. So the other main characters from the dorm is Jack Howe, which is, funnily enough, he is a wolf. And then you have Ruggy, who is a hyena because he's Leona's sidekick, basically, which in the film, Scar had hyenas as like his sidekicks. So it makes sense. But yeah, these have been my favourite characters, and if I remember, I will try and upload them all into the art channel in my Discord. But if I do forget, someone will probably shout at me to remind me, because chances are I will forget. But yeah, these have been my favourite characters, and this has been Camel Cat's video suggestion. So I hope you've all liked it, and again, my Discord link will be in the description box, so you can suggest videos for me to film, and you can interact with the other little mini eggs we have. Or if you want to be like Sazzle, you can just farm on the cat bot and collect all different types of cats, because Sazzle is obsessed with that bot. She has more cats than me now, I think. She likes that bot a lot. But yeah, you can chat about comics, you can chat about manga, you can chat about Sonic, you can chat about, you know, your interests and stuff, and then find other people who also have your interests. But yeah, we're mostly manga, anime, video games, comics, but we do talk about a lot of stuff. And there is a memes channel if you want a laugh or whatever. But yeah, link in bio for the Discord, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time.